So guys, in the last class, we were left out with some of the points regarding quality of water. From there we onwards, we are going to start this particular lecture. So I hope everybody go through the notes that I shared yesterday. So that will be help you out to continue with the lecture that we end with in the last class. So we are continuing with the quality of water. Next point that we need to understand here is that is computation of salinity concentration in irrigation water. So how we need to find out this value and why it's so important to find it out. So this is actually calculation or mathematical fundamental is always required to get exact value what amount you are allowing to water salinity in the water that can be supplied to the irrigation or in the fields or in the form of irrigation that water can be supplied into the field for the crop. So here we need to find out that salinity concentration of soil solution once the water is supplying, irrigation water is supplying into the soil. So here if you see CS which is equal to given as CS into Q divided by Q minus Cu into P. That first of all need to multiply and then you have to minus this from the Q. So abbreviation is mentioned under Q is the quantity of water that you supplied in the field. Cu that is a consumptive use of water which we are going to use that water from the irrigation for irrigation work. CS is the salinity concentration in the soil solution. How much amount of concentration of salinity in salt concentration is there in the water? वो कितना है that we need to find it out. P effective that is useful rainfall that we need to find how much rainfall was there other than that irrigation water that we need to find. Then Cu into P effective that is used of irrigation water means rainfall water into the Cu that is a consumptive use minus the total water that we supplied to the field. We will get the value of water that we are going to use supply the water which is supplied into the field through irrigation, not the rainfall. C is the concentration of salt in the soil solution. C and Q is nothing but that is the total salt applied to the soil, which so water which the salt which coming through the water of irrigation which we supplied. जो पानी हम नहर के या canal से through we are going to apply into that there will be some salt content and that salt we are going to calculate which coming with the water through irrigation that is nothing but C into Q divided by Q that is a total quantity of water that supplied minus consumptive use into the effective rainfall that is minus from the total water that we supplied. Divide by that and you will get the value of salt concentration into the irrigation water. So here we are not talking about the total water we have supplied, whether it is coming from the rain, tube well or anywhere other. It's just for concentration of salt in irrigation water which we are going to supply. CS which is represent as cumulative or you can say concentration of salt content. C stands for concentration as for salt here and consumptive use which is Cu. So that's how you can calculate the value. It might ask into your paper if 2 marks question may ask related to this so that you can calculate. C will be given, Q will be given and directly you have to put the value into the relation and you will get your answer. So salinity you can calculate by using this. Otherwise, there are some practical experiments also that is not the part of our actually in it's a part of agriculture students actually. So we are not bothering about how much you are putting into that. So that's in practically you can solve that. In the lab, there is a soil verification or soil testing lab over which you can perform some of the tests. You can find out there. So that's it about this. Next, if you see here, there is a wait. Yes, please. Students, if you have any queries, please put your hand, raise your hand into the chat box or wherever you can. So I can, after the completion of that particular task, then you can ask. Yes, Abhinav, you can ask.
Sir, soil mechanics or irrigation engineering subject is both are the same subjects.
Soil mechanics and irrigation engineering both are same. No, they are totally different.
Okay. So you are told about soil mechanics lab, then I
No, no,
think
no. Soil
these
mechanics
both
lab,
are
nahi,
the same.
soil testing lab. It's not a soil mechanics lab. It's a
Yes,
soil testing.
yes, the soil
One is
testing lab.
soil testing means we are dealing the testing of soil for plant quality. One thing we are measuring its quality according to civil engineer students. There is totally difference in both these. We are focusing on its bearing capacity, its stickiness, its bonding properties. But in the agriculture student, they are seeking about, they are looking after how much potassium is available, what is calcium quantity, what is magnesium is available. These things they are looking after. We are not looking after those things. Whether there is calcium is there, whether there is magnesium is there, we are not looking after that thing. We are looking after in the geotechnical lab. There is a lab which we are going to do in the 6th semester. You will see there is a lot difference in these two. So our task is not to calculate its value according to the irrigation point of view. We need to look after the soil for the condition of its bearing capacity and their other mechanicals or its chemical properties. So there is a totally difference between these two. It's a soil testing lab and one is geotechnical engineering lab. Geotechnical and soil testing, technically terms we are looking after, they are looking after the ingredients available into the soil. So which kind of ingredient is available, according to that they will allow to crop, which crop this which kind of soil is good for which different kind of your crops, fine. But for our point of view, it's a totally different. So that is not the path. That's why I'm not going in detail how its value is coming or whatever it is. Just for calculation, just for basic idea, we are seeing these chemical qualities because it's a part of irrigation also. So that's it. So next is some of the things that we need to find out here also. That is the salt concentration is going to measure in the lab, if you which I'm just like discussed with you. Can be measured by electrical conductivity of the water. So we are going to measure the electrical conductivity. Maybe you are aware about salt content will show some electrical conductivity in that case. So we can directly relate or proportionate to each other. If electrical conductivity is showing more, in that case you will see that there is a more salty content. So, so there is a table which you can see. Lal Prasad, please, you can unmute. Please mute yourself. If you have one question, you can unmute. Otherwise, please mute yourself. So there is some water class which is we are divided into, and then we have EC. This is EC stands for electrical conductivity, which is going to be represented in the unit of microohms per centimeter. Then according to this value, we can define or divide the water into different categories, which is mentioned here. That is salinity, significance, how they are their components or compounds are available into that we can look after according to the value of this electrical conductivity. By checking the electrical conductivity of irrigation water, we can find out these values. So if its value is excellent, means we can put into the excellent class. If its electrical conductivity comes out to be lesser than 250, that means water is very having a very low salinity, which is having higher proportion of calcium and magnesium and bicarbonate ions. So this can be available if its value comes out to be lesser than 250. It's a good kind of thing, good water that can be supplied to the irrigation. Good, it if its value coming out to be 250 to 750, then moderately saline water having varying ionic concentrations. Then permissible, its range is 752 to 2250. High saline water consists mostly of sodium and chloride ions. And then we have doubtful, it's not useful, generally it's not allow the water. हम कभी कभी कहते हैं ना, many time people or in the farmers you have seen your father, if they are doing a farming work, or if they are not doing, even they know water is khara water, it's not good. Khara means there is a sodium or magnesium, your sodium and chloride ions are more, so that water is not useful for the crops. Some of the water in that case, but they generally do, the people do just they have the rain water, like from the irrigation canals, they receive some water, they mix the tubewell water into that. So because rainwater is good, very good water which can be supplied directly without any treatment doing over it. In that case, for increasing the water supply, the increasing the discharge capacity of that water, so more water means more duty will be there. मीन्स जितना ज्यादा पानी होगा उतना ही ज्यादा एकड़ आपकी वेट हो पाएगी, उतनी ज्यादा एकड़ में आपकी पानी लग सकता है. इन दैट केस व्हाट दे डू जनरली द पीपल ऑफ द राजस्थान, बिकॉज देयर वाटर इज नॉट sweet water or you can say meetha pani is not available over there. They have a khara pani which having this sodium and chloride ions, which is not good for the soil as well as for plant growth. In that case, what the people do is generally they have the rainwater through the canals. They mix that water by taking out that water from the boreholes, that is khara water, and mix that with the rainwater or from the canals water, and then supply to the land. So their capacity is bit increased, so that water can allow to pass, because it's not completely that khara water, because it's a mixed water which can be supplied, because its electrical conductivity maybe comes down up to 750. If you individually apply the water, supply that water, which is not good. So emergency, in emergency case, you can supply that water. Otherwise, that water is not allowed to supply. So these are some category you can find out from there, and the mathematical relation we've seen that numerical may ask in that, and otherwise if you look after the practical things, these are the things you need to verify, and carefully you can supply that. Next is proportion of sodium ions to the other cations. If there is sodium ions available to the cations, if you look after those, so the percentage of sodium ion is generally it's less than 5% of total exchangeable cations. Their percentage can be increased up to 10%. What will happen due to this particularly aggregations of soil grains breaks down? So basically the soil structure is going to be broken down, and because of that permeability will be less. In that case, it become poorer tilth. Poorer tilth मतलब क्या होता है? The soil which is not having good permeability means if the soil having a good permeability, it means water can pass through that. Its permeability will lower, and the soil become a very fine soil, and fine soil is not good enough in the case of permeability. Permeability is basically related to the void space. It's a not depend upon the number of voids available, because the more space is available, water easily pass through. If a number of voids are more, but spacing is very, very, very tiny, in that case, permeability will be less. So in that case, while it will dry, in that case, crusting will be there, and pH increase towards the alkalinity. So this thing can be happen if it's sodium ions reaches maximum value or more than 10%, that will be create some problem like permeability reduction will be there. It will be a poorer tilth. The tilth is basically a kind of soil which is a aggregations of soil breakdown structure. In that case, we generally call it as poorer tilth. It's a good tilth, or one is poorer tilth. Poorer tilth after if its permeability will be lesser down. And in that case, due to that, pH will be increased, and which comes to be alkaline kind of soil, which is not right. Then it's a value we need to find. There is a one parameter by, or that factor we are going to measure, that is called SAR number, SAR. SAR number you will be more precise with. That is sodium absorption ratio. SAR stands for sodium absorption ratio. It's represent sodium hazards, how much effect of sodium on the soil itself, that we can measure by knowing the value of SAR number. SAR stands for sodium absorption ratio, which can be calculated as it's given into the relation, which is equal to sodium ions divided by under the root calcium ion plus magnesium divided by 2. So from there is again different class. If a SAR number is in category 1, 2, 3, 4, according to the value we are getting, we can divide into that. So SAR stands for sodium absorption ratio in milliliter, millimole per liter. Sodium ion concentration milli per liter, and again calcium and magnesium are likewise we can have their values. So again, in this particular point, many questions generally asked or already asked in the GATE exams also. So this is a very important part to know about it. So if you see from there, from the value of SAR number, we divide into different category of the soil water, the water we are going to supply to the land. Sodium hazards class, which is S1, S2, S3, and S4, depending upon the SAR values. That is, if value of SAR coming, that we can calculate by using the previous slide relation. SAR value coming out to be S1, if its value is coming to be 0 to 10, that we consider to be a little danger. It's mean sodium in the water is very low. Fine. Then we have S2, if its value coming out to be 10 to 18, it's we call it medium sodium water. Probably it's not good for fine texture soil and sodium sensitive plants. Some of the crops is not having, they are very sensitive with the sodium. Some are the for different you can call it for different compounds. They have sensitive with some for some of the crop are sensitive for magnesium, calcium, whatever it is. But some crops are sensitive with the sodium, so in that case, it's not good condition. Especially for under leaching condition like salty surface, you are looking after many time you have seen that soil should have good permeability. In that case, that should be there. So good permeability is not in the fine texture. That thing is not good. Even permeability is not good in the fine texture soil. That will be not good. In that case, we can supply in that particular zone. That is S2, 10 to 18. If it is S3, it's 18 to 26. In that case, problem will start creating. Up to this point, we can supply that water. It's not that harmful. But if it comes in the category of S3, or you can say SAR number value comes out to be 18 to 26, it will start creating problems. Good salt tolerant plants are required along with special management such as use of gypsum. To reduce that kind of problem, in that case, you can add the gypsum into that, and so that will reduce some chemical exchanging things will happen, and due to that, sodium effect will be reduced over that plant. Some of the plant may tolerate some to some extent, but many of the plants may not stand by this particular range of S3. Here we are getting SAR number is 18 to 26. And the very high concentration case, in that case, we divide into S4, its value coming to more than 26. So this kind of water is not satisfactory, and that cannot be allowed to supply into the land. Calcium levels is very high, and the use of gypsum is very important in that state. If there is no other source to supply other than that water, in that case you have to go with, but some measurements or treatments you have to do that over the water, and then you can supply. Otherwise, it's not allowed to supply. Right? On that previous concept, we have a numerical. So let's see it and try to solve it on your own. So you might get some conditions and how to identify them, what are the treatment need to do to remove that problem into the soil. This is a problem which is mentioned here. You can read the question, which is A section and B section, C section. We divide into three parts. One is we need to find SAR number. Then we need to find which problem will be rise in a fine texture soil. Third is what measures you will suggest to overcome that problem. These are the three. One question contains three problem itself. So first of all, there are some values given. Classification of irrigation water. We have to classify the soil in which category it comes under. Having following characteristics. One is concentration of sodium, calcium, and magnesium ions has been given. That is 22. It's a sodium. 3 is a calcium, and 1.5 milli equivalent per liter respectively comes to be magnesium here. And electrical conductivity is also mentioned. That is 200 microohms per centimeter at 25 degrees Celsius centigrade. This is the first problem of this question. Means first section of this problem. Then we need to find what due to these values, we need to find first SAR number. According to this SAR number, in which category it's coming under, and then we decide whether it's a harmful or not. If it is harmful, then you have to put an answer for the problem which is asked. That is, what problems will arise in the water if a soil is fine textured soil. If it is category, first find the category, then we have to find which what are the problem will create in fine texture soil. Then we have to put a suggestion regarding what are the remedies you will adopt to overcome this problem. So first of all, very simple relation we have to use this. Sodium is given, that is 22, calcium 3, magnesium 1.5, 22 divide by under the root 3 plus 1.5 by 2, solve it, first divide, add and divide by 2 and under root, and you will get the value 14.67 here. This is the value of SAR number which is coming. It's absorption ratio, so there this is a ratio only, so there will be no unit actually. So our if you go with the last table, it's coming under this category. So you can read it from there. It's coming under sodium hazard class number 2. SAR number is ranging between 10 to 18 as our value is 14.67. So medium sodium water, it's a medium class. Problem on fine texture soil, which coming obviously in fine texture soil, it will create some problem. And sodium sensitive plants, though those plants having problem with the sodium, like some people have problem with something, like always, like plants also have some sensitivity with the different compounds or components available into the soil, especially under low leaching condition. Means somewhere we have a good leaching condition, but somewhere we don't have a good leaching condition. Leaching condition में होता क्या है, water का अंदर salt का अंदर जाना और निकलने की बात हो जाती है. अगर permeability अच्छी है तो leaching problem नहीं होगी वहाँ पे. In that case it's good. Soil should have good permeability, fine. Especially under low leaching condition, soil should have good. If the leaching condition is low, in that case, condition of permeability that should be there. So these are the problem we'll create here. So in S2 it's coming. If you go with the electrical conductivity is also mentioned, that is 200 micron. If you remember in the last slide, we have electrical conductivity class also. First category in the C1, if the value of your electrical conductivity EC comes down and below 250, we consider that as C1. Let me show you that also, so you can see this. Under this category is coming. So in that case, we can say electrical conductivity is excellent. We don't have any issue with that particularly. So it's come under C1 category. This is also C1, C2, C3, and C4. From the electrical conductivity point, we don't have any further issues. So only issue is that it's a S2 category coming. So what are the problem will arise that we will look after. So let's see the second answer, but is the problem which will arise if sodium or medium sodium water is supplied to the irrigation. In fine texture soil, if you see here, what are the problem? First thing is permeability will be lesser. So permeability is lesser, infiltration will not take place, water will standing out, leaching problem is also created. It start crusting when dry. Means once your soil will dry, in that case, crust will be there. Means एकदम से sudden सब fractures होना, crusting जैसे होता है ना, कुछ सूखी हुई soil को अगर आप fingers के बीच में rub कर रहे होगे तो you will feel something like that. Become plastic and sticky when wet, like you can find as clay soil. If you put some water into that, you will find some sticky kind of soil, and it become plastic. Means you can convert or give any shape to that soil if there is a sodium medium kind of soil, sodium water is supplied to the irrigation, and its pH is also increased, and it's going to be towards alkaline soil. Solution is very simple. You need to add some gypsum into that, so you can add that, and in that case you can overcome the issues which are coming when medium kind of sodium water you are going to supply. So these are the complete problem. Is generally asked in 2 marks, or most probably maybe into 5 marks also. So general problem remains same. There will be no changing will be there. If it is a not a fine texture soil here, it's a coarse soil. In that case, might be these issue will not create over there. So in that case, no need to apply any gypsum or anything. It's only create the issue in the fine texture soil. Fine texture means we have some different categories. Soil, fine soil, मैं कहूँगा clay is the finest soil out all of them. Then we have silt, a bit higher size. Then we have fine sand. We have medium fine sand. We have coarse sand. We have fine aggregates. We have medium aggregates. We have boulders and all that. So these are the category you will see in the next semester subject soil mechanics. You will find those. Next, we have concentration of potentially toxic elements. Again, it's a very important thing to need here. Understand that a large number of elements like boron, selenium, etc. may be toxic to the plants. Their traces are essential for somehow. Boron is required for growth of the plants. Because the fertilizer today we are using, it's in a huge amount. Actually, due to the poorer quality of water you are supplying to the land, due to the poorer quality of soil is also available in some of the area of your country specifically. So many times soil and water is not enough to supply the essential elements like they required for their growth is not supplied by that water or soil itself. In that case, we need to use some fertilizers. Many times you have seen farmers throwing the sulfur they are putting into the soil. They are putting borons. They are doing treatment. Urea they are using for nitrogen supplementaries. Then we have DAP and all those stuff we are generally put into the soil for proper growth of the plant. Many people have seen the cow dung is also used, means animals dung is generally used for soil in the soil. Why? Because it's a very good thing to improve the fertility of the soil, because fertility is very essential for the growth of the plant. So that's why up to some extent everything is good. If you throw very high amount of animals dung into the field, that is also not good. Fine. So the definite quantity is required. If you put anything excess, that will be harm your soil or maybe harm your plant in that case. So you can try this at your home. Many people have plants, their houses. You can put a cow dung a huge amount. You will find your plant will be dry soon. So you will find its leaf will be a yellowish color. So maybe there will be because they will provide a low quantity of elements. Maybe that requires some extent, but if you put a load, in that case it will harm your plants. So make sure they should not be in a maximum quantity. They should be a required optimum value that we need to put. Many time maybe you are not aware about chemicals those we are throwing into the crops. Their quantity is always mentioned. 2 ml 200 ml for a acre you have to use in the mixture. You are not supposed to have 1 liter. If there is a quantity of 200 ml required to throw, in that case if you throw 1 liter, that will be definitely burn your all the crops. That will not good. So everything is certain, and there is a permissible for each and everything. These are the things. So here is also boron is good for plant growth, but if you put more than 0.3 ppm, 0.3 ppm, in that case it's considered to be toxic element for certain plants. So that you need to be very careful about this. Then we are bicarbonate concentration as related to concentration of calcium plus magnesium. Again, we require these if they are in very good high amounts available. In that case, result in precipitation of magnesium and calcium bicarbonates of a soil solution, increase the relative proportion of sodium ions, which is again causing your sodium hazards. By doing so, they will create sodium, the sodium ions will create sodium hazards also. So these things you need to keep in mind. So not in detailing, I'm not going there because it's not a technical things related to irrigation part, but for being a civil engineer, you should know about basics of these particulars. Then bacterial contaminations. So some of the things after the chemical concentration, we have seen some bacterial contamination is again very important issue that we need to address here. Unless the crop irrigated with highly contaminated water are directly eaten without being cooked, fine, it will create some many time people directly eat the crop, fine. Being without cooked, in that case like cash crops means directly आपको जल्दी जल्दी पैसे देने वाली kind of mark. Cotton nursery stocks etc which are processed after harvesting, therefore they use contamination water. waste water without any trouble. So many time क्या होता है कि ज़्यादातर crops हम जैसे कि rice या if you looking after rice or like wheat, we generally use for household works. People use a lot of rice in their houses for their food. Like we used to eat chapatis, all that they are wheat obviously. In that case, bacterial contamination is very harmful for our health also. So that means you uh, need to be very careful about those things. Otherwise, some of the crops like cash crops, there we are not going to use them as a household food items. Like cotton, we are not going to use for food item. Nursery stocks, वगैरह, we are directly sell out to the market. In that case, we do not require to contaminate and do not require any measures to remove bacterial contamination. In that case, it's not harmful for us because they are directly used for like ratio. You are like for other issues, we are not going to eat the cotton. So in that case, we directly go with the way that it is available. So if you see now the water requirements of the crop, how much now we seen initially we seen why water required is the way how is connected. Let's look into that particular. Start of the lecture, in the first lecture we have seen how much water available. Then we seen the way to apply the water to the irrigation. Then we seen what are the sources available and all those. And laterally part we seen what are the qualities of water available for irrigation. Now water requirements of the crop, which depend upon environmental condition as well as type of crop also. So if you see or look after here into the requirements of crop is every crop requires certain amount of water and certain fixed interval of time. If you look see a rice, its requirement of water is very high. If you see other like wheat, its requirement of water is compared to rice is less. Like if you go for sugar cane, again it's require a lot of water. Again, if you go for vegetables or any other things, they require less water compared to those. So and their time of supplying of water is also fixed. They required a certain amount. Like cotton is required half week after week and week. In that case, rice is not hold that water for that particular time of week. We require to supply the water to the rice day by day. So depending upon the crop and depending upon environmental conditions also, there are some other parameters we need to address here, that not only the crop is mandatory to requirement the water, but environmental conditions also affect the requirement of water of the crop. The area where irrigation is must for agriculture is called arid region. Some arid region means sukha kind of areas where it's a must irrigation is required over there. While area in which inferior crops can be grown without irrigation, that area is basically called semi-arid region. So these are the things that we address. Then we are coming to the technicalities. Now the terms we are going to see, these are the technical terms that need to be addressed here as civil engineer students. I already discussed in the previous class, that is crop period and base period. What does crop period mean is basically the time period which is elapses from the day you showing the crop to the harvest day. The time between showing to the harvest, that time is called crop period. And the base period is the time for first watering after harvest, first watering showing to the last watering before harvesting. जो टाइम होगा क्रॉप का लगाने से, बीज बोने से लेके काटने तक का टाइम कहलाता है आपका क्रॉप पीरियड. एंड फर्स्ट वाटरिंग, पहली बार पानी जो सप्लाई करना है आफ्टर शोइंग to the last water which we supply to the before the harvesting, that time is called your base period. So that is the difference in this, but for most probably all the engineering works we generally consider to be both the values are same, otherwise there is a difference between those. So that is all about crop period and base period. Then we are coming to the delta and duty of the crop. What does delta mean? What is duty mean? So let's look into that. It's again very important part. Many questions asked related to this. topic only, delta and duty and base period. In GATE, ES, even junior engineering exams, in your BTech level exams, everywhere question generally asked from this topic. So I can say it's a very important topic to understand and very interesting to understand. So basically, what does delta means here? Each crops, I just explained to you, every crop requires certain amount of water at a certain interval of time throughout its complete growth of the time, growth of the plant. Suppose every time if you required some amount of water like 5 to 10 centimeter depending upon the crop and climate and the soil type which is available onto the land where the crop is growing. So if you are putting the water every time 5 to 10 centimeter water is required to complete for base period, how much of delta means how much of water is required for complete growth of that plant. So that is nothing but just you have to add that depth for each and every time depth, which is the required delta for growth of the plant. So that you can calculate. If there is a base period of any crop is 120 days, and you are applying the certain amount of water for suppose 5 centimeter depth of water is you are continuously supplying after 10 days 10 days 10 days on so you have to calculate how much watering you are supplying. After 10 days, you are applying the water for 5 centimeters. For example, 120 days is the total time of crop. Divide by that 10, how much watering you require? 12 watering. And each watering required 5 centimeter. Total water depth, how much water is required? 12 into 5, it's a 60 only. So 60 centimeter water is required for total growth or complete growth of the plant. So that's how you can calculate the delta of the water. So which I just explained, which is mentioned in these slides also. So summation of total water depth that we just supply to the crop for its full growth will evidently represent the total quantity of water required for growth of its full-fledged nourishment. Just I explained that. So there is some numericals also related to this so that we can calculate. So these are the things which is mentioned here. I just explained to you. So here the quantity of water required for crop for its growth may be expressed in hectare meter also. So or simply as the depth to which water would stand above the surface without percolation. So basically the meaning is that suppose if somebody says it's a 60 centimeter water is required, 60 centimeter depth water is required. So how you gonna measure it? Otherwise, in every time you are not going to supply 60 centimeter depth of water. So total water, either you can measure it by there is no percolation happening, there is no evaporation happening, means no water is passing through the soil, no water is going to the environment. In that case, whatever the total amount of water depth is required, that is nothing but is called delta. So please try to solve those numerical. What does those means? So there is a poll also for these questions. So first question says to us that is if rice requires about 10 centimeter depth of water at an average interval of 10 days. What is the question is all about? Read carefully. Rice requires about 10 centimeter depth of an average interval of 10 days. 10 दिन के लिए mean every 10 days we require 10 centimeter depth of water for every after 10 interval of 10 days. And total crop period means the when we shown and harvesting time का जो elapse है बीच में उसको हम बोल रहे हैं crop period. 120 days. Find out the total delta for rice. Means total water supplied to the land that we need to find out. So I hope this question you can solve. So let me share the polls to you. So put your answer into that poll. So poll is on your screen. Solve that question and give your answer to the into the polling question part. Calculate the value of delta of given question. Question number 1. Poll is visible to all?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I think the result is on your screen. You can see the people who responded their answers. So I'm not going to look into that what your answers are. After first let me solve it and then I will look into the answer that you given. So if the rice requires about 10 centimeter depth of water and average interval of about 10 days, every 10 days we require 10 centimeter of depth. So total days we need to supply that water is for 120 days, means this is the crop period is mentioned 120 days. So how much how many times water we need to supply? After 10 days we require one watering. One watering means one time we are supplying the water after 10 days. So total 120 days. How many watering we required? 120 divided by 10. That comes out to be 12. And for each watering, how much depth of water is required? It's required 10 centimeter. So 12 into 10 centimeter, 120 centimeter will be the right answer. So people given, one student given that is 122 centimeter, three students given 122 mm, and three students given 120 mm, and none of the above. Again, the last mentioned problem in the last class, same mistakes people do. So only four students given the right answer. Option is of this question will comes out to be none of the above. Why? Because there is no unit is mentioned. 120 is given, but unit is in mm. So answer of this question will be 120 centimeter only. Clear? Yeah, 120 centimeter, so we can put into how many mm? 120 centimeter equal to how many mm? It's 1200.
1200.
So 1200 mm is given. In that case, that will be the answer. Those who given the wrong answer, so make sure do not make a silly mistakes every time that kind of problem is asked. Question, you know, everybody problem is that student is running after the values that just they get. 120, yes, there is the option. Just make it correct. Just click on that. So that's how you can make the mistake. So be tentative while you're seeing the options, read the question careful and then respond. So 30-second question, 5 to 7 seconds should be spent over reading the question and to the options. What are they given? So there is a simple question is given. In that case, there will be something trick will be there. So in that case, you make a mistake like you did in this question also. So out of only 36% student given the right answer, you can get the idea. Total 68 given the 68% student participated, and out of those, around half students given the 50% student given the wrong answer. So let me share the other also. Question, I think on your screen. I'm just sharing the poll as well, so you can do it from there. Solve the second question and give your answer now. Same problem, it's a ditto problem. Only 40 seconds, not more than 40 seconds, I will not allow. That's it. So again, result is on your screen. Out of 17, 8 students participated and all 8 given the right answer. So its answer will be 37.5 centimeter. Good. So what we need to do in this particular problem, again, now the wheat crop is wheat kind of wheat, and depth is required 7.5 centimeter of water for each and every 28 days. In the last question, we have after 10 days, and depth of water required for each 10 every 10 days, we require 10 centimeter. Here for 140 days is required for complete growth of the plant or wheat. It's a crop period or base period are same we are considering. So 120 divided by 28, calculate the watering and then multiply by 7.5 you will get total. So 5 watering will required, and 5 into 7.5, that will comes out to be 37.5. So that's it. Next we have duty of the water. What does duty means? What are the things we need to understand here regarding duty? So duty is nothing but basically it's a water or relation of depth of water with the base period and the water we supplied. So read it carefully, try to understand it. Very technical term. Actually, many people get confused about it. How it's what does duty mean? एक्चुअली क्या है, मैं पहले आपको सिंपल लैंग्वेज में बताता हूँ, देन वी कम टू दिस पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट. लेट मी एक्सप्लेन इनटू द हिंदी सो इट विल बी बेटर टू अंडरस्टैंड. इट्स नोट दैट पॉइंट कि यू कैन नोट अंडरस्टैंड इंग्लिश. सो बेसिकली एक कंटिन्यूअस सप्लाई के साथ, एक प्रॉपर कंटिन्यूअस सप्लाई के साथ अगर पानी चल रहा है बेस पीरियड के अंदर, बेस पीरियड सपोज 120 दिन का बेस पीरियड मानते हैं, 120 दिन के अंदर कंटिन्यूसली एक फिक्स्ड अमाउंट ऑफ वाटर लाइक 15 क्यूमेक वाटर की सप्लाई हो रही है 120 दिन के लिए, एक प्रॉपर डेप्थ के लिए, मान लो 15 सेंटीमीटर की डेप्थ अप्लाई कर रहा हूँ, उस डेप्थ के लिए 120 दिन लगातार 15 क्यूमेक की सप्लाई होती है, तो कितना हेक्टेयर लैंड इरिगेट होगी, वो हमारी क्या कहलाती है, ड्यूटी. समझ आया? एक कंटिन्यूअस सप्लाई 15 क्यूमेक मींस 15 क्यूमेक ऑफ डिस्चार्ज कंटिन्यूअसली फ्लोइंग for a fixed depth of water, that is 15 centimeter. It's a just example. For a period of 120 days, how much land will be irrigated by that continuous supplying of water, which having a depth is around 15 centimeter for 120 days, that is considered to be duty of that water. Clear? So let me explain in this particular point. So duty of water is the relationship between the volume of water and the area of the crop is mature. Means आपने how much water you are supplied, how much volume of water you are supplying, and due to that available water, how many land or how much area of crop is mature. Means how much area of crop that is mature or reach to its growth. It may be defined as the number of hectare of land irrigated, as I just told, for full growth of given crop. I just taking the 15 centimeter for complete supply, complete data for a 120 days of base period. By supplying of 1 meter cube per second, so means we can calculate discharge is nothing but 1 meter cube per second of water continuously during the entire base period of that crop. कितना एरिया मेच्योर होगा, कितनी लैंड के ऊपर आपकी इरिगेशन या क्रॉप है वो मेच्योर होगी, इफ यू सप्लाई टू दैट क्रॉप ए कंटिन्यूअस वाटर सप्लाई फॉर 1 मीटर क्यूब पर सेकेंड ड्यूरिंग एंटायर बेस पीरियड ऑफ दैट क्रॉप. So that is called the duty of that water. So how to calculate it? Let's see. So relation between duty and delta, again very important relation. Many question has been asked from this till now, and further will ask from this topic only. So if you see in this particular problem, we need to find what is the relation coming out between duty and delta with the base period used. So there is a crop of base period. We are assuming that is B days. B means base days required. Let 1 cubic of water to be applied to crop on the field for B days. I assuming 1 cubic of water to be applied to the crop on a field for B days. B days के लिए 120 लीजिए whatever. Just for a base period, we supply a continuous water of 1 cubic into the field. Calculate the volume which we required, which need to apply in the field for B days. How we can calculate? Just see 1 into 60 into 60, thus we need to calculate into the volume, so meter cube per second. So we can convert into the days we required, so we can convert into the cubic meter that we need to find. 1 into 60, 60 पहले सेकेंड से मिनट किया, मिनट से आवर किया, आवर से डेज किया. 160 converted minute, converted hours into 60 converted days, 24 into B days. So volume coming out to be 60 into 60 into 24 into B meter cube. So 86400 cubic meter. This is the volume that we required for 1 cubic supply. Means 1 meter cube per second water की supply है वो B days में करें तो इतना volume मुझे चाहिए. If you see from the definition is duty is 1 cubic supplied for B days matures D hectares of land. By the definition we are assuming that if there is a 1 cubic supply of water for B days, how much land it will, how much crop it matures in a hectares, D hectares. This quantity of water B matures D hectares of land. Hectares means it's coming to be 10,000 only, na? Square meter of area. Total depth of water applied to on this land will be equal to depth. If we want to calculate nothing but volume by area. Volume is mentioned, which is 86400B, means divided by the area of 1 hectare, which is nothing but 10,000 D. You will get this value, which is coming out to be 8.64 B divided by D meter. So delta is equal to 8.64. B is base period, D is the duty, equal to it's coming out into the meter. If you to convert into the centimeter, just multiply by the 100, you will get 864 B divided by D is equal to the delta. So where delta is in centimeter, B is in day, and D is in hectare per cubic. So that's the how we have find the relation between dt and delta. So so this is all about the particular lecture, because I don't bring much slides, because it might be get bored in the particular lecture. So after in this particular we have some numerical related to this also. Find the value of delta and duty, and then we have duty types, efficiencies, what are the factor affecting duties, that we look into the next lecture. Now we have again I'm sharing the poll. You can